example of something that you might not fund?
Yes, the most clear example would be we've had agencies come to us and ask for funding to do programs that we thought were honorable and useful and helpful to people, but they just didn't happen to serve any residents in St. Charles Parish. And you know, by bylaw, by charter, that's our goal. So I don't mean that to sound harsh. And again, if a donor would like us to send a contribution, you know, we may have a donor that lives in St. Tammany and wants their funding to go there. Absolutely, we will go ahead and send it if a donor designates. But our first role is to really protect and benefit the lives of residents here. So that would be a criteria. Another way that comes up occasionally is we, again, want to be stewards. We want to be protectors of those donor dollars. And if an agency comes to us and their own administrative costs seem disproportionately high and outside of standards that are acceptable, we may decline them for those reasons as well.
Okay, very good. Appreciate you being a good steward of the money. John, some people seem to be confused between the United Way of St. Charles Parish and the surrounding United Ways. Can you explain the difference of those?
Absolutely. It's an interesting issue. The long and the short of it is we're an independent, what the government would classify as a 501c3 nonprofit. So we're an independent agency governed by a local board of directors with a scope of service for St. Charles Parish. And the fact that we're all United Ways in name, it absolutely creates confusion to the public. And I completely understand that. We get the benefit of the image being recognized, but a lot of folks don't know that there are almost 1,200 United Ways around the country. And that's one of the reasons we really try to encourage people to be educated donors. Look, let's face it, dollars are tight. You know, we're asking people to write a check, to take money out of their paycheck, and they have a right to want to really understand where those dollars are going. I know I do, and we encourage people to go to our website where you can really see where those dollars are going, what agencies are being funded, who we're serving. And I've always said that the best I can ask is for a donor to really understand what we do. And it may sound silly, but I believe that that they'll donate if they just understand who we're serving and what we're doing. I tell people all the time, if you have a question, call us. You know, call and say, hey, I want to know why you fund this agency. I want to understand more about what they do. Why'd you make this decision? I would love that interaction because it might sound silly, but I have that high of a level of confidence that if people understand who we are and what we do, I don't even worry about asking them to donate. People are good-natured. They want to help their neighbors. They want to help folks. They want to make their community a better place. So I think that's the tough part is really communicating the 115 activities that we're delivering in our community.
It really has been my experience that the United Way of St. Charles Parish really has been a very open place. And if folks would call and ask those questions, they would definitely get some genuine answers.
Absolutely. You know, we publish a fully audited financial statement on our website. I occasionally have had people say, hey, I asked my money to be designated to Girl Scouts. How can I be sure you're really sending it to the Girl Scouts? Look at our audited financials. It'll be right on there, who we wrote a check to and how much for. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with people having that level of buy-in. You know, they should. Dollars are tough. They're making hard decisions. I have no problem with that.
Very transparent. What's the biggest misconception that you have heard around the United Way of St. Charles Parish?
The biggest misconception is more thematic than specific. And what I mean by that is the biggest misconception has to do with just what we provide funding for. We will often hear from a potential donor or someone at a campaign talk that they do not want to donate because they're not comfortable with X or Y agency or program. What's interesting is I have heard that, I would say frequently over the years, but it has never been the case that they were actually correct, that that agency they object to or that program they object to is one that we actually fund. We fund programs that support education, income, health, basic needs in the community. And we will have a donor say that, boy, I love those things, but I have an ethical problem. I have a moral concern about such and such that you fund. And it's really never been the case that, like I said, that's something we fund. It's one of the reasons that we ask donors not only for their donation, but we ask them for their time. We ask them for their time to take a look at the brochure, to take a look at our website, and really understand who we fund. This may sound arrogant, but I really believe that if folks know the work we're doing in the community, they know that 91 cents of every dollar they donate is going into the community, they'll choose to donate on their own accord. What I guess frustrates me is, and I feel so bad about it, is when folks choose not to donate for just misinformation. And I understand that completely. It's a complicated world, but we ask donors to be educated donors. Learn about what's going on in your community. If you choose not to donate and you've researched everything you do, chances are at least you learned something.
Absolutely.
Brian, I've got a question for you. We first met maybe 2 years ago when you started doing volunteer work through Dow for the United Way of St. Charles. What's motivated you, or what's fired you up, or kind of made you embrace this, that you've become more involved?
I think for me, it's how real it is. I come to embrace the fact that how good a job I do is directly correlated to potentially how much money we may raise through the campaigns, and that will directly then translate to how many services that we're able to provide. How many, we do the backpack program, how many children may actually be fed, how many mothers we may be able to help in the community, that are out there. It directly translates to the programs that we're able to provide, and I think that's really what drives me.
Do you feel pressured by that? Now that it's become real, now that it's not just ink on paper, it's not just a brochure, do you feel pressured, challenged by that?
It is a challenge. I'm a person that definitely takes something and is challenged by it. So yeah, there is a slight bit of pressure that I think goes with that. I want to perform for the community at this point. I want to do well.
So let me ask you, if you had one thing to communicate to a donor out there, I mean, you're a volunteer, you don't work for United Way, you're away from your job right now, you're spending your time. What one thing would you like to tell them or ask them?
I think it's very simple. I would ask you to contribute. At the end of the day, any small amount can help. A lot of folks choose to look the other way and say, I don't need to help at this point. Somebody else's job to go do that. Somebody needs to do something. Somebody needs to do that. And somebody can be you. Again, any amount can help. Please donate. This whole point of this program is to try to educate. We're trying to give some information here, and this is part of that ask. John likes to use that term, educate and ask, and I'm going to do that at this point. I'd like to ask you to contribute.
Okay. Thank you.